When I say the words unsettling in video games, what sort of games do you think of? Maybe the twisted world of the evil within, how its monsters and levels morph chaotically along with the main character's mind. Or maybe the dystopian and violent themes of Ruiner, where you relentlessly beat up and kill various ne'er-do-wells and just very unfortunate souls. By the way, quite fun game, Ruiner, by the way, you should play that. There are a lot of horror games that would fit the unsettling theme at the very least. Like, a lot. Also a lot of games involving warping minds, which means it's a garbage theme, overdone. Give me something new, something... And then there's the plain, wondrous unsettling of Daymare Town. I originally went into this video lamenting the potential loss of this game after the death of Flash. I played it on like Flash-based websites a lot, so I didn't think I'd find it again. I mean, a lot of games I remember playing were like this anyway, came from around the early 2000s, and sadly I can't really find them much today, but this particular series of games is still available from the creator's website. Mateusz Skutnik, I hope I pronounced that right, has made many puzzle games, of which I've only played Daymare Town and Submachine. I know that's not a big pool of experience, but it makes no less of an impact for sure. Daymare Town is a gem from the 2000s era that should be preserved not just for its arguably archaic style, but its subtle approach to the weird. Even from game 1, the player is simply dropped into this creepy town and left to make their own sense of things. The game is in a hand-drawn style that keeps a fair amount obscure and really emphasizes other things. Faces, for example. I don't think they like me much. But this hide some, show some approach does one big favor for the game. Its lack of any defining horizon or location puts the whole setting in a place that feeds on your imagination. The game is steeped in an atmosphere that is neither oppressing nor free, and it's helped with the lack of soundtrack. This quiet town is also quite large, each area being its own episode of the game series. There's like 4 main ones and 4 side ones, but the main 4 games are each a section of the town. From the small window of the game you see here, which is actually an interesting touch, if I might add, this minimal but immersive atmosphere never relents. It makes this empty-ish town a place you want to see more of, if not to escape. And I can't think of many games that do this well today. To clarify, I'm not saying games like Breath of the Wild or Redemption don't have a sense of immersion or atmosphere. Not that games in general don't nail that proper feel of environment. There are stories that show you the grand scale of your adventure from the start, and you know that eventually you'll get to the end. The games like The Treehouse Man, in contrast to Breath of and Redemption, keeps you locked in a swamp that, while seeming large in 2D exploration and kind of a cool combat mechanic, also check that out, Treehouse Man, you experience it through a small stage, per se. You don't quite get the vertical scale you would of bigger games, but you know what lies beyond your boat. It's just a sprawling, foresty world that you'll probably never explore, but to you it's still kind of a small world, and that's not a bad thing. It keeps you focused on what matters in this case, the boat, the combat mechanics, and your friends, and the hidden, or rather subtle story you can get through conversation. Daymare Town, though, leaves the details of the sky and below the city kind of blank. It leaves the details blank, and if it does show you something, it's to make the unsettling more unknowable, and reinforces how much of a stranger you are here. And the best part, at least to me, is that it's all done without fanfare. This is just stuff Daymare Town residents, Daymare Town residents have to deal with. It makes those who are curious want to see more, and doesn't push you away, but at the same time, never welcomes you. And all of this in a simple, sketchy style puzzle game from the early 2000s. I say early 2000s, it's 2007. I'm sorry, I'm old. The game is dated, and the ink drawing aesthetique can be more harmful than not for finding small items, especially coins. The typical frustrations of point-and-click inventory are there, but that's to be expected. It can be easier to lose track of some quests, but keep good notes and you'll be fine. It's actually one of the games that encourages you to take notes, is to figure out where you've been and what to do. Make your own map if you had to. You don't get lost in the town itself, you get lost in the rooms or the puzzles in the town. That's a good thing, by the way. And one minigame in the Daymare Town series, Daymare Cat, is also its own mini-sode with its own exploration, where you actually get to see more of a main character, not the main character. I don't think it's the same one as the main games. And it has a crossover song with Cat in the Menagerie. It's a slapper of a song they included at the end called Better, which you need to look up on YouTube right now. I'm angry about this because that's one of the only songs out of like 3 that I could find of that band, and they're good, and I can't find anything of the many more. Yes, I'm still mad about this years later. Anyway, in short, if you're the type who wants to have some nice puzzle exploration in a simple game that it really nails the atmosphere without using all the fancy gimmicks and graphics of modern day, while I sound old saying that, this game is an excellent narrative example of style to emphasize atmosphere through setting. Go play Daymare Town if you can afford it. It's like $15, around that much, for the whole series on the creator's website, which I'll link in the description. Put on some headphones and let the strange town take you on a slightly dated but no less unique journey. But I hope this game can be preserved for future generations to see that you don't have to have sprawling open world maps to make the feeling of a looming horizon. Sometimes all you need is to let the viewer fill in the gaps of their own Daymare.